ever feel like you simply cannot find your happiness, no matter where you look or how hard you try? Maybe you are finding yourself pulling away from the friends who used to make you laugh until your sides hurt, retreating into a shell that feels both safe and incredibly lonely. Or perhaps you sometimes sit in your room, wrapped in the safety of the darkness, not even realizing how many hours have passed as the world moves on outside your window. The silence becomes your only friend, yet it is a friend that does not bring you comfort. If this resonates with you, I want you to know right now that you are safe here. We are going to explore this together with kindness, with patience, and without a single ounce of judgment. Depression is a word we hear often in the media and in casual conversation, but it is also a deeply misunderstood experience. It is not just sadness, it is a thief. It can affect anyone at any time. It does not care about your age, your background, your gender, or how perfect your life might look on the outside to an observer. In fact, statistics tell us that about 20% of all teenagers experience depression before they reach adulthood. Think about that number for a moment. 20%. That is 1 in 5 young people walking around with a heavy heart, often suffering in silence, because they do not know how to articulate what feels like a thick fog in their brain. That is a worrying statistic, and it breaks my heart to think of so many beautiful, vibrant souls feeling alone in that darkness. I remember clearly when the singer Willow Smith, the daughter of Will Smith, bravely opened up about her own private struggles with depression. Here is a young woman who seemingly had everything: talent, immense fame, a loving family, and total financial security. Yet, when she shared her truth, the comment sections of articles were filled with people attacking her. They asked things like, "What have you got to be depressed about? You have everything." This reaction shows a fundamental, heartbreaking misunderstanding of mental health. Mental illnesses do not discriminate between age or circumstance. You cannot buy your way out of a chemical imbalance or a deep emotional wound. Depression does not check your bank account before it arrives. Often, depression is even more difficult to recognize in young people than it is in adults. As a teenager or young adult, you are already experiencing a whirlwind of changes. Your body is changing, your hormones are fluctuating wildly, and the societal pressure to figure out your future is immense. It is easy to dismiss deep, clinical pain as just growing pains or teenage angst. But the longer you feel this way without understanding it, the more likely it is to disrupt your life and turn into a long-term problem that steals years of your potential joy. So, drawing from the wisdom of psychology and the insights, I want to share with you 5 ways to recognize if what you are feeling might be depression. Number 1 is a continuous low mood or sadness. Now, we all have bad days. We all have moments where we feel a bit blue, perhaps because it is raining outside or we received some disappointing news. That is a normal, healthy part of the human emotional spectrum. But what we are talking about here is different. This is a sadness that lingers. It is a persistent, heavy cloud that refuses to break, even when the sun is shining brightly. Ask yourself, do you often feel very sad and low for a prolonged period of time? If you are feeling this way, you might notice that the things that normally lift your mood simply do not work anymore. A favorite meal, a funny movie, or a warm hug from a loved one might feel hollow, as if there is a glass wall separating you from the joy you used to feel. You may find yourself feeling low or crying for no specific reason at all. You might wake up with tears in your eyes or feel a sudden wave of grief wash over you while you are sitting in class or at work. This unexplainable sadness is your spirit waving a flag, asking for attention. It is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that your emotional landscape needs care. If you feel this heaviness settling into your bones like a winter chill that won't leave, it is a good time to reach out and talk to someone. You do not have to carry that weight alone, and you certainly do not have to understand it all by yourself. Number 2 is being irritable or intolerant of others. This is a symptom that is so often missed, especially in younger people. We have this stereotype of depression as someone sitting in a corner, weeping softly into a tissue. And while that can be true, depression often wears a mask of anger. Irritability can be a very loud, spiky symptom of a quiet, internal pain, because teenagers are often stereotyped as moody or rebellious. This sign is frequently dismissed as just a phase. But if you look closer, it is often a defense mechanism. When we are hurting inside, we become raw. Our nerves are exposed, like a sunburn on the soul. So, when someone gets too close or asks a simple question, we snap. You might find yourself having a very short temper, snapping at the people you love, your parents, your siblings, your best friends, for no apparent reason. Afterward, you might feel a wash of guilt, wondering why you reacted so harshly to such a small thing. If you notice a sharp change in your mood, where your patience has evaporated and you feel constantly on edge, it might be best to discuss it with someone. It could be a parent, a school counselor, a doctor, or a trusted friend. Even if you think you are just having a rough time at school or dealing with stress, talking it out helps to get the whole picture. Sometimes, anger is just sadness that has forgotten how to cry. It is a protective wall we build when we feel vulnerable. Recognizing that your irritation is actually a cry for help can be the first step toward lowering that wall and letting love back in. It takes a lot of self-awareness to admit, I am not angry, I am hurting. But that admission changes everything. Number 3 is showing feelings of helplessness. This is a profound and difficult feeling to navigate. If you are suffering from depression, you might feel completely out of your depth, like you are drowning in shallow water. It feels like you are not in control of your own life, as if you are a passenger in a car that is spinning out of control. You can feel completely helpless and confused about where you fit in the world. Now, it is true that some of these feelings are normal as you go through changes in your body and the process of growing up. The transition from childhood to adulthood is scary. It is a time of immense uncertainty. But be aware if this symptom persists for longer than a few weeks. It is the difference between feeling nervous about a test and feeling like nothing you do matters at all. Feelings of unhappiness, worry, guilt, being fearful, helpless, hopeless, or lonely could all be signifying that something more serious is wrong. You might feel a sense of impending doom, or a belief that the future is a dark, empty place. You might feel guilty for things that are not your fault, or feel like a burden to those around you. Please hear me when I say this. You are never a burden. These feelings of helplessness are a lie that depression tells you. It tries to convince you that you have no power, but that is not true. You have an immense amount of strength inside you, even if you cannot feel it right now. Recognizing this feeling of powerlessness is crucial because it allows us to start reclaiming our agency, one small step at a time. It is about realizing that while you cannot control the wind, you can adjust your sails, and there are people willing to help you steer. Number 4 is increasing social isolation. This is perhaps one of the most visible signs, yet it is often the one we try hardest to hide. Do you want to just be left alone? When you are not feeling like yourself and your mood is remarkably low, interacting with the world can feel exhausting. It requires a level of energy that you simply do not have in your reserve. It can be incredibly hard being around people because you feel like you have to put on a performance. You feel like you have to wear a mask of normalcy, acting like you normally would so that nobody asks questions. This emotional strain, the gap between how you feel inside and how you are acting outside, is draining. It can cause you to give up socializing altogether. You might start declining invitations to parties, avoiding the lunch table, or staying in your room for entire weekends. The bedroom becomes a fortress of solitude. At first, it feels safe. It feels like a relief not to have to pretend to be happy. But over time, that isolation feeds the depression. It confirms the lie that you are alone in the universe. If you notice you are starting to withdraw from people, try to talk to someone. Even if you feel you are just having difficulties with friends, or you are just tired, look deeper. It may not always be a sign of depression, but dealing with it now can help stop it from turning into something more severe. Connection is the antidote to isolation. Even just sitting in the same room with someone you trust, without saying a word, can help bridge the gap and remind you that you are part of a community. You do not always have to talk to be connected. Sometimes just existing near someone who loves you is enough. Number 5 is little to no enjoyment of things you once liked. In psychology, we call this anhedonia. It is the theft of joy. Have you lost interest in being involved in after-school clubs, music practice, or sports? Think about the things that used to light you up. Maybe it was playing the guitar, painting, playing video games, or even just going for a walk with your dog. If you are depressed, those things suddenly lose their color. The guitar gathers dust in the corner. The video game console stays off. The idea of going to practice feels like climbing a mountain. You might feel like you do not want to go. Or you might even be contemplating dropping out of activities that defined who you were just a few months ago. You might not even watch your favorite television shows with as much interest. The jokes do not land, and the stories do not engage you. Everything feels beige. This loss of interest is painful because it feels like you are losing yourself. You might look in the mirror and wonder where the you who loved soccer or dancing has gone. Not enjoying things you once liked could be a sign you are depressed. It is not that you have become boring or lazy. It is that the chemistry in your brain is blocking your ability to experience reward and pleasure. But the good news is that this is reversible. With help, the color can come back. The music can sound sweet again. The joy is not gone forever. It is just dormant, waiting for the winter of depression to pass so it can bloom again in the spring. Recognizing these signs, continuous sadness, irritability, helplessness, social isolation, and a loss of joy is the brave first step toward healing. If you saw yourself in any of these descriptions, I want you to take a moment to be proud of yourself for facing that truth. It takes courage to look at your pain and name it. It is important to remember that depression is a journey, not a life sentence. It is a chapter in your book, not the whole story. Many people view mental health struggles as a sign of brokenness, but I encourage you to view them as a signal. Just as physical pain tells us to pull our hand away from a hot stove, emotional pain tells us that our environment, our mindset, or our biology needs attention and care. It is an invitation to treat yourself with radical kindness. When we are in the depths of it, it is easy to believe that the feeling will last forever. But feelings are like weather. Storms can be violent, they can be long, and they can be destructive, but they are never permanent. The sky always clears. The key is to learn how to weather the storm without letting it wash you away. This involves building a toolkit of support. This toolkit includes professional help, like therapists and doctors who understand the brain. It includes a support network of friends and family who can listen without trying to fix everything instantly. And it includes your own self-compassion, the ability to say, I am having a hard time, and that is okay. I also want to touch on the concept of patience. Healing is not linear. There will be days where you feel on top of the world, followed by days where getting out of bed feels impossible. That is not failure. That is the process. Be patient with yourself. Do not rush your heart. You would not scream at a flower to bloom faster, so do not scream at yourself to heal faster. Give yourself the water, the sunlight, and the time you need. So, have you struggled with depression? Or perhaps you have noticed these signs in a friend or a family member and did not know how to bring it up. What do you do to help yourself or others during these dark times? Here at Happy Aura, we believe in the power of shared stories. We would love to know your experiences. Please be sure to leave a comment below. Your story might be the exact thing someone else needs to read today to feel less alone. If you are feeling this way, please reach out. Talk to a parent, a teacher, a counselor, or call a helpline. There is absolutely no shame in asking for help. In fact, it is the strongest thing you can do. It takes a warrior to say, "I need help." You are valuable, you are important, and your presence on this earth makes a difference. Thank you so much for watching and for listening with an open heart. We are sending you so much love and light. Please take care of yourself, be gentle with your heart, and remember that clouds, no matter how heavy, always eventually pass to reveal the sun. We will see you next time. Goodbye for now.